Hello there, ladies, gentlemen, cats, and everything in between of YouTube and Tumblr. Right, I decided to make a video kind of, sort of, out of boredom of doing actual worky things. And also because I remembered something the other day and I kind of wanted to rant about it. I went like, and I felt I was overdue for making a video because the last time I made one, I asked people to ask me questions, and I only made one part of it, and then sort of left the rest because I lost the questions under a mountain of messages, because that's just how popular I am on the internet. So, before you get bored of my cool stories, I shall. Well, firstly, I should make a couple of apologies, actually. Just before I actually talk about this, is one, I may have some difficulty or completely bail on speaking because I have a particularly sore throat at the moment, and my glands are a bit swollen up in there, which isn't particularly pleasant. So I may be, drinking water in the middle of speaking, but I can't speak at the same time. I've not quite acquired that superpower yet, and it's not even a major superpower. I'm really working up to invisibility and stopping time. It's a very slow process. There's irradiated animals involved. I won't get into it. Yeah. Also, that I get a little bit nervous on camera, so I basically stutter and say a lot, like that. Yeah. So without any more interruptions, I want to talk to you about the perception of manliness, or being a real man, which stems from this here story. Basically, I was in a Wetherspoons, a pub establishment, or kind of like a chain bar with like loads of cheap alcohol and usually unpleasant clientele. That's just for your Americans and anyone outside of England. I was there with a bunch of people in London, a couple of people who I'd met for the first time on Tumblr, who were friends of my good and one of my best friends, Poppy. And I was at the bar with her, and we were kind of tipsy. Well, she was quite drunk, and possibly on MDMA or something. And yeah, some guy sort of comes up to us, and we've got this kind of like little joke, and it's kind of true that we're married, and we have been for like 5 years or whatever, because that's how long we've known each other. And we genuinely act like a married couple. It's ridiculous. And also, she kind of attracts attention from other men. Basically, I hope she's not watching, because this will so inflate her ego. Poppy is basically really good looking. So a lot of guys tend to sort of throw really bad lines at her, which is usually hilarious. In fact, it's nearly almost always hilarious. And he like comes up to us and he's like, "Alright there, is this your boyfriend?" And she's like, "No, he's my husband of 5 years." And he's all like, "Well, talk to me if you want to get with a real man." My first reaction is like, "What?" And he just like sort of strides off back to his mates with like an actual smug look of victory on his face. And my first reaction is literally, "Are you for real?" Like, I just blurt this out, "Are you for what?" And I was like, "Oh no, my ego is so wounded." And like, I know it seems like mentioning this some months after, like, they go, "Yeah, but did he kind of get to you?" And it's like, no, it's literally because I thought it was so dumb, and it baffles me why people would go out of their way to say something so purposely stupid. Like he genuinely thought about that, because he was standing there for a few seconds while we were buying drinks. And so yeah, I'm like, "You for real?" I'm thinking, is this guy like a bad guy from an 80s movie? Is some kind of like antagonist from 1985? Like, "Hey, you want to get the real man?" I don't know, and also a real man. I just hate that there's always someone in some kind of gender group, or even subgenres of sexuality, who would be like, "Well, you're not a real man," or "You're not a real lady." That's a really bad women accent. Or like transgender people. I hear they got claws, man. They're like, "Oh, you're not real trans. You just, gender queers aren't even blah, blah, blah." There's all kinds of crap around that. And there's always someone trying to think, "Oh, hey, like, I'm the real McCoy. I'm like a, I don't know, people should, like, look up to me because I'm, like, I should be idolized on my gender, sexuality. I'm a real boy." Um, I don't know. It's just kind of, and frankly, the kind of people who say this, especially that guy, he looked kind of a bit rough. Uh, and he's blatantly sort of like a man's man. He looked like a builder. He's sort of kind of like this slightly stockyish, beer-bellied guy, like kind of like stubbly ginger bloke who kind of, he kind of dresses just like a normal man with sort of no sense of style. And yeah, I mean, if being a real man means I have to be some knuckle dragging ape moron who goes around pathetically trying to sort of poach on people's girlfriends or whatever. Not that me and Poppy are actually going out, but he was under that illusion, or thought we were genuinely married. um, if that's what it means, being some ignorant Neanderthal, I don't want to be a real man. If there is some kind of standard, I'm some just weird fucking grey area, and I'm happy with that. I'm maybe all worlds of insecure, but I'm okay with who I am in my gender and sexuality, and so on. Because admittedly, I'm quite effeminate. I mean, I don't know if you can tell by this, but in person, and people recognise me as being quite effeminate. Other men point out, but I feel like other men feel the need to point this out as if this isn't a completely obvious fact to me. Maybe people don't realise how incredibly self-reflective I am, or how incredibly self-conscious I am. Yeah, I've had some friends, male friends. I used to have a male best friend. I won't name names. I mean, people who know me probably know who this is, but he was particularly cruel about me being effeminate and metrosexual, and this was, like, I was friends with him when we were sort of like, adolescents, we were like young teenagers and stuff, and then when I got to about 16 or something, I sort of, I started to change and sort of be my own person, because that's when you start becoming your own person. About 16, 17, you start getting a proper identity. You stop being in a clique. You stop, being one of your friends, because there's a point where you're sort of like 14, 15, where if you're hanging around with a group of friends, you basically sort of dress the same, you have the same tastes, and be like, "Oh yeah, suck up to your peers." So yeah, I started coming to my own a little bit, and being me, actually, it meant being quite metrosexual. Like, started to become really conscious of sort of like how I dressed, how my hair was, looking in all kinds of reflective surfaces to make sure that shit was okay. Obviously, as you can tell, I've become slightly less, worried about it, mainly because I can't afford haircuts. Art student life. But there's one day where I just went, no, I don't want to be your friend because you're an asshole and you're trying to turn my friends against me and stuff, just because I don't fit into your ideas of being a man. You tongue-in-cheek try and make fun of me. It's like little in-jokes with the other guys because they're just a bunch of follower sheeps who obviously can't find their identities. It's childish. Playground games. He can't handle the fact that I don't fit into his perception of a real man and still get more girls than him. Suck it.